we will learn about the complex number. So what is the complex number? The complex number is the number that has two parts. For example, we're going to have 2 plus 9i. So this number 2 we call the real part, and this 9i we call imaginary part. So that's letter I by itself we call imaginary number. So what is imaginary number? So let's start with the I square. That's by definition we would figure it out. What is the imaginary number? So the I square is equal -1. So what is the I? So if we take the square root on both sides of the equation, so the square root and the second power cancel out, so the I equal to the square root of a -1. And as we learned before, we cannot take the square root of a -1. So that is what imaginary number is. So let's do some operations with the complex number. So we want to write negative square root of -81 into the complex number. So we're gonna split the -81 into a positive 81 multiplied with a -1. Okay, so we split a little bit further. Square root of 81 multiply. So we're going to replace the -1 with the I square. Now the square root of an 81 is 9. The square root of I square is I. What about if we want to simplify the I to a -10? So we don't want to see that negative exponent, and also we can simplify me we have to do something with it to get something look better than it is now. We're going to have 1 over I. We switch the -10 into +10. Okay, and then for this one I just kind of do just use an I squared, and then I'm going to explain it to you the I square cycle, so we can simplify something with the larger degree. So we're gonna continue on with split the I to the 10 into something like this. So we can rewrite the I to the 10 as I to the second time 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 I to the second. Okay. So what we end up, we just want to replace I to the second with the -1. So we're going to have a -1 time a -1 time a -1 time a -1 time a -1. So that's going to end up to be equal to uh, 1 on the top and then -1 on the bottom. So the answer is just going to be a -1. So again, I'm breaking it down so many I to the second power. I can do better than that, right? We can always try to do better than what we learned from the basics. So we have we come up with what we call the I degree cycle. So let's start with the I, and then we're gonna move on to I is I to the first power, so we're moving on to the I to the second power, and we're going to write I to the third power and I to the fourth power to the left. And the cycle, mean we just gonna um, make a little circle looking like that. Okay. Now let's figure it out. So the I to the first power is stay the same. I to the second power, we learned that is equal to -1. So I to the third power is just nothing but a -1, and then we're going to time with the I. All right, it's just going to be a negative I. Now I to the 4, it's just going to be I to the second time I to the second, which is 1 times 1. So I to the 4 is equal to 1. So this is what we call the imaginary number, the I cycle. So let's do something with the very big degree the of the exponents. Okay. So for example, we can do number two, example number two. We can start with I to the second plus I to the eighth. So I to the second power is just going to be -1. Now I to the 8, we can breaking it down into I. We can do I to the second time I to the second time I to the second 4 times. And then we end up with the same exact answers. Okay, but for right now, I'm just trying to apply the biggest degree of letter I, which is I to the 4. So I'm going to write down as I to the 4. Okay, and then I'm going to time this with 2 up here. Okay, so 8 times 2, before times 2 is 8. And now I'm just going to replace, keep the -1, bring it over, I to the 4 equal to 1. So I'm going to put 1 inside the bracket, and then I'll put the second degree to the outside. So 1 plus 1, -1 plus 1 equal to 0. Now let's do something with very, very big degree. So I 101. Okay. So we can so if any I exponent with the degree bigger than 4, you can start you want to split the exponent into I to the 4 powers with times something. Okay. So I know that 101 is an odd number. You cannot divide it by 4 to get an integer. So we want to split I 101 into I 100, multiply I to the first power. So 100 plus 1 is 101. So now because 100 divisible by 4, so I can write 4I to the 4 power, and then I'm going to put 25 out here. Because 4 times 25, which is 100, plus, and multiply the I. So I to the 4 is just going to be 1 to 25 degree, multiply 25th degree, and then multiply with the I. So I to any degree, it's just going to be a 1. So 1 times I is I. Okay. Oh, well, this is a bonus questions. What about this? I 67. Okay. So what is 60 divided by 4? That's going to give us an I to so what's the 60 divided by so that's 15 15 times 4 60 64, all right, time I to the third power. So that's those two exponents combined equal to I 67. So I 64 divisible by 4. So we're gonna write I 4 times 16, and then I to the third power. So this is going to be I to the fourth 1, 1 to the 16. Now I to the third power is negative I. So the answer is negative I.